She was immortalized as Princess Leia in Star Wars. But Carrie Fisher's real-life journey was a saga of its own. Off-screen, she waged battles not against dark forces, but against the very industry that built her, the iconic Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher landed the role of Princess Leia in 1975. Born into Hollywood royalty as the daughter of Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher, she was no stranger to the entertainment industry. Fisher had studied acting at the Central School of Speech and Drama in London and appeared in the film Shampoo before auditioning for Star Wars. The casting process for Star Wars was extensive. George Lucas, the creator, was looking for fresh faces to play the lead roles. Carrie Fisher, then 19 years old, was one of many young actresses vying for the part. Lucas auditioned her alongside other hopefuls, including Amy Irving and Cindy Williams. Her unique blend of wit, charm, and strength caught Lucas's attention. Fisher's audition tape shows her delivering Leia's lines with a combination of vulnerability and defiance, qualities that would define the character. Lucas saw potential in her ability to portray a princess who was also a fierce leader. After several rounds of auditions, she was chosen to play Princess Leia, a decision that would change her life forever. Star Wars: A New Hope was released in 1977 and became a cultural phenomenon. Fisher's portrayal of Leia brought the character to life in a way that resonated with audiences. She became a symbol of strength and resilience, breaking away from the traditional damsel in distress trope. Despite Leia's royal status, Fisher played her with a down-to-earth toughness that made her relatable. The iconic white dress and cinnamon bun hairstyle were subjects of debate. Fisher found the hairstyle uncomfortable and the dress impractical. In interviews, she often joked about the lack of underwear in space, a mandate from Lucas to avoid visible lines. These details added to her discomfort but also highlighted her sense of humor and willingness to speak out. George came up to me the first day of filming and gave me a roll of gaffer tape and told me it was for my chest, she recalled with her trademark wit. Fisher's own struggles mirrored Leia's resilience. She faced personal battles, including issues with substance abuse and mental health. These struggles were well documented in her autobiographies, Postcards from the Edge and Wishful Drinking. Her honesty about her life added another layer to the character she portrayed. It made Leia's strength and vulnerability more relatable to audiences. On set, she was known for her wit and intelligence. She formed close bonds with her co-stars, particularly Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford. These relationships were crucial in creating the chemistry seen on screen. Fisher's influence extended beyond her acting. She often provided input on scripts and dialogue, ensuring Leia's character remained consistent and impactful. The initial trilogy's success cemented Leia as a beloved character. She reprised the role in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Each film added new dimensions to Leia, showing her growth as a leader and a warrior. Her performance continued to evolve, reflecting her own experiences and insights. Clash of Visions. During the production of the original Star Wars trilogy, creative differences often surfaced between Carrie Fisher and the executives. These clashes were not just about the storyline, but also about how Princess Leia should be portrayed. She believed that Leia should be more than just a figurehead. She should be an active participant in the rebellion. One of the first major disputes arose during The Empire Strikes Back. Fisher wanted Leia to be portrayed as a stronger leader. She felt that the character needed to evolve beyond her role in the first film. Her push for a more dynamic Leia was met with resistance from some of the executives. They were concerned about maintaining the balance between action and character development. Being vocal about her opinions, she once remarked, "I wanted Leia to be more than a damsel in distress. She needed to be someone who could stand up and fight, not just be rescued." This sentiment was shared by many fans who saw Leia as a role model. Her advocacy for her character was a reflection of her own strong-willed personality. The disagreements weren't limited to Leia's role in the story. She often found the lines written for Leia to be stilted and unrealistic. Fisher, who was also a writer, would frequently suggest changes to make the dialogue more natural. Her input was not always welcomed, but she persisted. "If I'm going to say these lines, they need to sound like something a real person would say," she argued. These battles were not always successful. There were times when the executive's vision prevailed. However, her persistence in advocating for her character ensured that Leia remained a strong and independent figure throughout the trilogy. Her influence can be seen in the way Leia's character was developed, from a princess in distress to a leader of the rebellion. Her persistence often led to memorable moments. For instance, during the filming of Return of the Jedi, Fisher advocated for a scene where Leia kills Jabba the Hutt. This act of defiance and strength was crucial in showcasing Leia's evolution as a character. The hairdo debate, the infamous cinnamon bun hairstyle of Princess Leia, became an iconic part of her character, but it was a significant point of contention between Carrie Fisher and the Star Wars production team. The hairstyle was designed by makeup artist Pat McDermott, who was inspired by Mexican revolutionary women from the early 20th century. George Lucas wanted a look that would stand out and be easily recognizable, something that hadn't been seen before in science fiction. Carrie Fisher had strong feelings about the hairstyle from the beginning. She found it uncomfortable and impractical for the action scenes she had to perform. In interviews, she often described the experience of wearing the buns as akin to carrying heavy weights on her head. Her discomfort was compounded by the fact that she had to wear the hairstyle for long hours during filming. "I had to wear those damn buns every day for months. They gave me headaches," she once said in an interview with Rolling Stone. Fisher's discontent with her character's appearance wasn't limited to the hairstyle. She also had issues with the costumes, particularly the iconic white dress from A New Hope. The dress, designed by John Mallow, was made of a delicate, flowing fabric that looked great on screen but was less than practical during the physically demanding scenes. She often joked about the impracticality of the dress, noting that it was difficult to move in and offered little protection during stunt work. One of the most notable points of contention came with the infamous Slave Leia costume in Return of the Jedi. The gold bikini designed by Aggie Garrard Rogers became a cultural phenomenon, but was a source of significant discomfort for Fisher. She found the outfit demeaning and objectifying. "I was chained to a giant slug and forced to wear a metal bikini. It wasn't my idea of fun," she said in an interview with Newsweek. Fisher pushed back against the costume, arguing that it reduced Leia to a mere object. Her protests were largely ignored by the production team, but she found ways to reclaim some control. In the scene where Leia kills Jabba the Hutt is viewed as a symbolic act of defiance against the objectification she felt. The hair and costume debates were part of a larger issue she faced regarding the portrayal of Leia. She wanted the character to be seen as a strong, independent leader, not just a figurehead or an object of male desire. These battles over appearance were a reflection of the broader fight for respect and equality in Hollywood. Script revisions and secret changes. Carrie Fisher was not just an actress but also a talented writer. Her skills came in handy during the production of the Star Wars trilogy, where she often found herself rewriting lines and suggesting changes to the script. This input was invaluable in making Princess Leia's dialogue more authentic and engaging. One of the most famous instances of her influence was during the filming of The Empire Strikes Back. The original script for the scene where Han Solo is about to be frozen in carbonite had Leia saying, "I love you," to which Han was supposed to reply, "I love you too." Both Fisher and Harrison Ford felt this was out of character for the roguish Han. After much discussion, Ford ad-libbed, "I know," a line that has since become iconic. Fisher's influence on the script extended beyond dialogue. She had a keen sense of character development and often provided feedback on how Leia's character should evolve. During the filming of Return of the Jedi, Fisher advocated for Leia to have more action scenes and to play a more significant role in the defeat of the Empire. She wanted Leia to be portrayed as a true leader and warrior, not just a love interest or a figurehead. Her input led to scenes like Leia's rescue of Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt, where she famously kills Jabba herself. The executives and some creative team members were often resistant to her suggestions. However, her persistence paid off. She would often work late into the night, rewriting her lines to make them more realistic and compelling. Fisher's dedication to the character and her commitment to authenticity were evident in every revision she made. During the production of the original trilogy, there was a constant fear of leaks. This secrecy extended to script changes and revisions, many of which were made without the knowledge of the entire cast and crew. So she would often work privately with directors and writers, ensuring that her changes were implemented without drawing too much attention. Fisher's contributions to the script were not limited to her own character. She often provided input on the overall story and other characters' dialogue. Her understanding of the Star Wars universe and her ability to see the bigger picture made her a valuable asset to the creative team. Balancing humor with serious moments added depth to the films, making them more engaging and relatable for audiences. The Force Awakens for equality. Carrie Fisher's fight for gender equality in Hollywood was an ongoing struggle that mirrored her battles on the Star Wars set. She was acutely aware of the gender disparities in the film industry, and she used her platform to advocate for stronger roles and fair treatment for women. Her efforts on behalf of Princess Leia were a significant part of this broader fight. From the beginning, Fisher pushed for Leia to be portrayed as a capable leader, not just a supporting character. She fought for equal screen time and substantial dialogue, ensuring that Leia's contributions to the story were as important as those of her male counterparts. This was a bold stance in the late 1970s and early 1980s, a time when female characters were often relegated to secondary roles. She supported her female colleagues and spoke out against the systemic sexism in the industry. Fisher was known for her candid remarks and sharp wit, often using humor to highlight serious issues. In a 2015 interview with The Guardian, she said, "I signed away my likeness for free. In those days, there was no such thing as a likeness. There was no merchandising tied to movies." This quote underscores the broader issue of how female actors were often exploited financially. The fight for equal pay was another significant aspect of Fisher's battle. During the original trilogy, the disparity between her salary and those of her male co-stars was stark. While she was paid a fraction of what Harrison Ford earned, she continued to push for fair compensation. This issue of pay equity was not unique to Fisher, but was symptomatic of the industry as a whole. Her willingness to speak out brought attention to these inequities and inspired other actors to do the same. She advocated for the inclusion of more strong female characters, not just in lead roles, but throughout the storyline. Her efforts helped pave the way for characters like Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, and Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones. These characters embodied the strength, resilience, and leadership qualities that Fisher championed for Leia. One of her most significant contributions to the fight for equality was her work on The Force Awakens. Returning to the franchise after several decades, Fisher found a new generation of filmmakers more receptive to her ideas. She worked closely with director J.J. Abrams to ensure that Leia's character reflected the progress made in gender representation. Her input helped shape Leia into General Organa, a seasoned leader and military strategist, a role that commanded respect and authority. Fisher's advocacy wasn't limited to her on-screen work. She was a vocal critic of Hollywood's beauty standards and the pressure on women to conform to unrealistic ideals. Fisher often spoke about her struggles with body image and the impact of these pressures on her mental health. In a 2011 interview with ABC News, she said, "I think of my body as a side effect of my mind." The weight of stardom. Carrie Fisher's journey through the Star Wars saga was not without its personal and professional challenges. The weight of stardom brought immense pressure, impacting her mental and physical health. Fisher's battles with substance abuse and her struggles with bipolar disorder were well documented, reflecting the darker side of fame. She first entered the world of substance abuse during the filming of The Empire Strikes Back. The intense pressure of living up to the expectations of her iconic role led her to self-medicate. Fisher candidly discussed her addiction in her autobiographies, Postcards from the Edge and Wishful Drinking. In Postcards from the Edge, she fictionalized her own experiences, portraying a young actress dealing with addiction and the pressures of Hollywood. In a 2008 interview with Vanity Fair, Fisher admitted, Drugs made me feel more normal. They contained me. Her openness about her struggles helped to destigmatize mental health issues and substance abuses, encouraging others to seek help. Her honesty was groundbreaking in an industry that often glossed over such problems. She often linked her substance use to attempts at self-medicating her mental health conditions, a common scenario for many who struggle with similar issues but lack proper diagnosis or treatment. In her 30s, Fisher underwent electroshock therapy, a treatment she spoke about with both humor and gravity. She described the process in her memoir, Shockaholic, explaining how it helped alleviate her depression, a frequent companion of her bipolar disorder. This treatment, though effective for her, also led to some memory loss, which she addressed publicly with her characteristic wit. In her one-woman show, Wishful Drinking, she shared her experiences with humor and resilience, helping to break down the stigma surrounding mental illness. The demands of maintaining the image of Princess Leia also took a toll on Fisher's physical health. The pressure to conform to Hollywood's beauty standards was immense. She faced scrutiny over her weight and appearance throughout her career. When she returned to the Star Wars franchise in The Force Awakens, the media's focus on her appearance sparked a backlash. Fisher responded with her characteristic wit and defiance, tweeting, "Please stop debating about whether or not I aged well. Unfortunately, it hurts all three of my feelings. My body hasn't aged as well as I have. Blow us." Fisher's relationships with her co-stars were also affected by the pressures of stardom. Her on-set affair with Harrison Ford during the filming of A New Hope was a closely guarded secret until she revealed it in her memoir, The Princess Diarist. The revelation provided insight into the complexities of their relationship and the emotional toll it took on her. The return to Star Wars. Carrie Fisher's return to the Star Wars franchise with the sequel trilogy was a significant moment, both for her personally and for the fans who had grown up with Princess Leia. After decades away from the character, she found herself once again in the midst of the galaxy far, far away. This time, she faced new challenges and renewed battles to ensure that Leia's legacy was honored. Involvement in The Force Awakens began with initial skepticism. She was approached by J.J. Abrams, the director, and Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, who were keen to bring back the original cast. Fisher was excited but cautious about how Leia would be portrayed. She wanted to ensure that Leia's character had evolved in a meaningful way and wasn't just a nostalgic callback. One of her primary concerns was how to portray an older Leia. She insisted that Leia should be shown as a seasoned leader, someone who had matured and taken on significant responsibilities. Fisher worked closely with Abrams and writer Lawrence Kasdan to develop Leia's character. She provided valuable input on the script, ensuring that Leia was depicted as a strong and capable general of the Resistance, reflecting her growth since the original trilogy. Fisher's influence was evident in several key scenes. For instance, her reunion with Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, was a poignant moment that required careful handling. They worked together to convey the depth of their characters' relationship, drawing on their long history both on and off screen. The scene where Leia and Han discuss their lost son, Kylo Ren, is particularly challenging. Fisher's insistence on portraying the emotional complexity of Leia's situation added a layer of depth to the character. The costume design for General Leia was another area where Fisher left her mark. She collaborated with costume designer Michael Kaplan to create a look that was both practical and dignified. Gone were the elaborate hairstyles and impractical dresses of the original trilogy. Instead, she opted for a more understated, military-inspired wardrobe that reflected Leia's role as a leader. "I wanted Leia to look like she had been through a lot, like she was still fighting the good fight," Fisher said in an interview with People magazine. Fisher's return also brought new challenges, particularly regarding the intense scrutiny of her appearance. The media's focus on her weight and looks was a source of frustration. She responded with her characteristic wit, addressing the double standards faced by women in Hollywood. Her candid remarks highlighted the ongoing issues of ageism and sexism in the industry. Despite these challenges, Fisher's performance in The Force Awakens was widely praised. She brought a sense of gravitas and authenticity to the role, reminding audiences why Leia was such an iconic character. Her chemistry with the new cast members, including Daisy Ridley, Rey, and John Boyega, Finn, helped to bridge the gap between the original trilogy and the new generation of Star Wars films. Her involvement continued with The Last Jedi, directed by Rian Johnson. This film presented new opportunities for Leia's character. Fisher was heavily involved in the development of her scenes, providing input on the dialogue and character motivations. One of the standout moments was Leia's use of the Force to save herself in space, a scene that underscored her connection to the Force and her resilience. Tragically, Fisher passed away in December 2016 before the release of The Last Jedi. Her death was a significant loss for the Star Wars community and the film industry. The Last Jedi was dedicated to Fisher, and her presence loomed large over the final installment, The Rise of Skywalker, where unused footage from previous films was used to include Leia's character. In her 2008 work Wishful Drinking, Fisher wrote that, "No matter how I go, I want it reported that I drowned in moonlight, strangled by my own bra."